Today, we're diving deep into the untold story of Deandra Dottin, the woman who shocked the cricket world by walking away from millions at her peak, only to return 2 years later and secure the biggest contract in women's cricket history. But this isn't just about money. This is about a woman who refused to be silenced, who turned her back on an entire sport, and who ultimately rewrote the rules of what it means to be a female athlete in the 21st century. Before we begin this incredible journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear has never been shared publicly before. In the dusty backyard of a modest home in Rock Hall, St. Andrew Parish, Barbados, where a 12-year-old girl was about to face the kind of tragedy that either destroys you or forges you into something unbreakable. It was a Tuesday morning in 2002 when Deandra's world collapsed. Her father, the man who had first put a cricket bat in her hands, who had spent countless hours teaching her to play the pull shot that would later become her signature, suffered a massive heart attack and died before the ambulance could reach their remote village. But here's the detail that makes this story even more heartbreaking. Deandra's father had been working double shifts at the local sugar plantation to save money for proper cricket coaching for his daughter. He had seen something special in her aggressive batting style, something that reminded him of the great West Indian cricketers he had grown up watching. The night before he died, he had told Deandra's mother, Melva, that he had finally saved enough money to enroll Deandra in a proper cricket academy. That money instead went to funeral expenses. The months following her father's death were the darkest of Deandra's life. And this is where we see the first signs of the fierce independence that would later make her millions while also making her enemies. At 12 years old, while her classmates were worried about homework and crushes, Deandra was working after school at a local bakery, earning a few dollars a day to help her mother pay the bills. But every evening, no matter how exhausted she was, she would spend at least 2 hours practicing cricket against the wall behind their house, using a bat that was held together with electrical tape. Her mother, Melva, later revealed in a rare interview that there were nights when she would find Deandra crying silently in her room, not from physical pain, but from frustration. The local boys' teams wouldn't let her play because she was a girl, but the girls' teams didn't exist. She was trapped between two worlds, too talented for one and excluded from the other. It was during this period that Deandra developed the mentality that would define her entire career. If the system won't make room for you, you create your own system. The breakthrough came when she was 15, but it came with a cost that would haunt her for years. A local cricket coach named Marcus Thompson spotted Deandra playing street cricket with the neighborhood boys and was amazed by her natural power and timing. He offered to coach her for free, but there was a catch. The training sessions were held 60 miles away in Bridgetown, and the only way to get there was a 2-hour bus journey each way. This meant leaving home at 5 in the morning and not returning until after 9 at night, all while maintaining her job at the bakery and keeping up with her studies. For 18 months, Deandra maintained this impossible schedule, but the physical and emotional toll was enormous. She was constantly exhausted, her grades were slipping, and the family's financial situation was becoming desperate without her full-time contribution from the bakery job. There were several occasions when she nearly quit, including one particularly dark night when she came home to find her mother crying over unpaid bills. Deandra was ready to give up cricket and take a full-time job when something extraordinary happened that changed everything. Marcus Thompson had been quietly filming Deandra's training sessions and had sent some footage to contacts in the Barbados Cricket Association. Unbeknownst to Deandra, her aggressive batting style and natural athletic ability had caught the attention of selectors who were looking for fresh talent for the regional women's teams. The call came on a Friday afternoon in 2006. Deandra had been selected for the Barbados women's team for an upcoming tournament in Trinidad. But even this breakthrough came with complications that revealed just how difficult the path to professional cricket was for a young woman from Deandra's background. The tournament required her to travel to Trinidad for 2 weeks, but the team provided no financial support for players' families during their absence. This meant that Melva would lose 2 weeks of income from Deandra's bakery job at a time when they could least afford it. The decision to let Deandra go to Trinidad required the family to borrow money they had no clear way of repaying. The tournament in Trinidad was where Deandra Dottin first announced herself to the cricket world. But the circumstances were far from ideal. She was the youngest player in the squad, she had never been away from home before, and she was playing with equipment that was clearly inferior to what her teammates possessed. Her bat was still the same one held together with tape. Her gloves were borrowed from another player, and she had only 2 cricket shirts to last the entire tournament. But when Deandra walked to the crease for her first competitive match, something magical happened. Facing experienced bowlers who had been playing regional cricket for years, she showed no fear, no respect for reputations. Her first boundary was a pull shot that flew over the square leg fence, and the sound of bat on ball was so pure, so explosive, that conversations stopped around the ground. By the end of that tournament, she had scored more runs than any other player and had earned a reputation as the most exciting young talent in Caribbean women's cricket. However, success on the field didn't immediately translate to financial security, and this is where Deandra's story takes on a darker edge that few people know about. Despite her outstanding performances, the financial rewards in women's cricket were virtually non-existent. She was now representing Barbados regularly, but the match fees were so small that she was actually losing money when she played. The cost of travel, accommodation, and equipment exceeded what she earned from cricket. This financial reality created a crisis that nearly ended her career before it truly began. Deandra was now 18, her family was still struggling financially, and she was being pressured to choose between cricket and a stable job. Local businesses had noticed her athleticism and work ethic, and she had been offered a full-time position at a supermarket that would have provided steady income and health benefits. For weeks, she agonized over this decision, knowing that choosing cricket meant continuing to be a financial burden on her family. The decision was ultimately made for her in the most unexpected way. During a regional tournament in Jamaica, Deandra's explosive batting caught the attention of a scout from the West Indies women's team. After the match, she was approached by the team management and told that she was being considered for selection for the senior national team. This wasn't just recognition of her talent. It was her first real chance to earn meaningful money from cricket. Her international debut came against Ireland in 2008, but even this milestone was marked by drama and controversy that has never been fully revealed until now. Just days before the team was due to depart for the tour, Deandra received devastating news. Her mother had been hospitalized with a serious illness, and the medical bills were threatening to bankrupt the family. Deandra was faced with an impossible choice: pursue her cricket dreams or stay home to support her family in their time of need. The team management initially told her that missing the tour would likely end her international cricket career before it had begun. But Deandra had already made her decision. Family came first, and she was prepared to sacrifice her cricket ambitions to be with her mother. It was only after teammates and coaching staff learned about her situation that they rallied together to support her. The cricket board, moved by her loyalty to her family, agreed to advance her tour fees so she could pay for her mother's medical treatment. This act of compassion from the cricket community created a debt of gratitude that Deandra would carry for years, but it also established a pattern that would define her relationship with cricket authorities. They would support her when she needed it most, but they would also expect unwavering loyalty in return. This dynamic would eventually lead to some of the most dramatic moments of her career. Her early years in international cricket were marked by spectacular performances and growing recognition. But behind the scenes, Deandra was struggling with pressures that few people understood. She was now the family's primary breadwinner, supporting not just her mother but also younger siblings who were still in school. Every match fee, every prize money payment, every small endorsement deal was carefully budgeted to meet family obligations that never seemed to decrease. The pressure of being the sole financial support for her family began to affect her cricket, and this is where we see the first signs of the mental health struggles that would later play a crucial role in her decision to retire. Deandra later revealed that during this period, she was experiencing panic attacks before matches, not because she feared failure, but because she feared what failure would mean for her family's financial survival. Cricket had gone from being her passion to being a burden that she couldn't afford to fail at. The turning point came in 2010 with that historic T20 century against South Africa. But the story behind that innings is far more complex than most people realize. Deandra had been struggling with form leading up to that match, and there were rumors that her place in the team was under threat. She had been putting enormous pressure on herself to perform, knowing that losing her spot in the national team would mean losing the income that her family depended on. The night before the match, Deandra couldn't sleep. She spent hours pacing her hotel room, practicing her batting grip, visualizing different bowling scenarios. When she finally did sleep, she dreamed about her father, who appeared to her and reminded her that cricket was supposed to be fun, that she had started playing because she loved hitting the ball hard, not because she had to. She woke up with a clarity she hadn't felt in years. For this one match, she would play cricket the way she had as a child, with pure joy and abandon. That mindset produced one of the most destructive innings in women's cricket history. Deandra's 112 not out wasn't just a century. It was a statement of intent, a declaration that she would not be constrained by expectations or pressures. But more importantly, it was the moment when she realized that her greatest strength as a cricketer came from playing without fear, and that financial pressures had been making her play with fear. The years following that historic century saw Deandra establish herself as one of the most marketable players in women's cricket. But success brought new challenges that tested her character in unexpected ways. As her profile grew, so did the demands on her time and energy. She was expected to be available for promotional activities, media interviews, and sponsor events, often without additional compensation. The cricket boards and sponsors were benefiting enormously from her star power. But Deandra was still earning a fraction of what male cricketers with similar profiles were making. This disparity became a source of growing frustration that would eventually explode into the open conflict that led to her retirement. Deandra began to speak out about pay inequality, about the lack of support for women's cricket, and about the way female cricketers were expected to be grateful for any opportunities they received. These statements made her powerful. Enemies within cricket administration who viewed her as ungrateful and difficult. The situation reached a breaking point in 2021 during a heated meeting with Cricket West Indies officials about the women's cricket program. Sources present at that meeting have revealed that Deandra was told in no uncertain terms that if she continued to criticize the board publicly, there would be consequences for her international career. Her response was immediate and defiant. She told the officials that she would not be intimidated into silence and that if they wanted to end her career over her advocacy for women's cricket, they were welcome to try. This confrontation set the stage for the dramatic events that would unfold over the next year. Deandra continued to speak out about issues affecting women's cricket, but she also began to quietly explore alternatives to international cricket that would give her financial security without requiring her to compromise her principles. The emergence of franchise cricket leagues around the world was creating new opportunities for players who were willing to prioritize financial reward over national representation. The decision to retire from international cricket in July 2022 wasn't made in anger, despite how it appeared to the public. Deandra had spent months calculating the financial implications, exploring contract opportunities with various franchise teams, and consulting with advisors about how to maximize her earning potential in the remaining years of her career. By the time she announced her retirement, she had already secured contracts that would pay her more in 2 years than she had earned in her entire international career. But retirement, as lucrative as it was, came with an unexpected emotional cost. Away from the pressure and politics of international cricket, Deandra discovered that she missed representing her country more than she had anticipated. The franchise leagues provided financial security, but they couldn't replicate the pride and passion she felt when wearing the West Indies jersey. Friends and family noticed that despite her financial success, Deandra seemed restless and unfulfilled during her retirement. The comeback negotiations began in early 2024, but they were unlike anything cricket had seen before. Deandra wasn't just negotiating her return to the team, she was negotiating a complete transformation of how the West Indies women's cricket program operated. She demanded guarantees about training facilities, support staff, marketing support, and most importantly, equitable treatment compared to the men's program. These negotiations took months and involved lawyers, agents, and cricket administrators at the highest levels. At several points, the talks nearly collapsed when Cricket West Indies officials balked at some of Deandra's demands. But the board was also facing pressure from sponsors and fans who wanted to see their biggest star return to international cricket, especially with the T20 World Cup approaching. The final agreement, reached in July 2024, was unprecedented in women's cricket. While the exact financial details remain confidential, sources within the cricket board have revealed that Deandra's return came with a package that included not just match fees and bonuses, but also marketing rights, image rights, and performance incentives that could make her the highest-paid cricketer in the Caribbean, regardless of gender. Her return to international cricket was emotional and triumphant, but it also demonstrated that her 2-year absence had not diminished her abilities. If anything, the experience of playing in high-pressure franchise leagues around the world had made her a more complete player. Her performance in the T20 World Cup silenced any critics who had suggested that her best years were behind her. As we conclude this incredible journey through the life of Deandra Dottin, remember that you've witnessed more than just a sports success story. You've seen how one woman's refusal to accept the status quo changed an entire industry, how financial independence gave her the power to demand respect, and how walking away from everything she had worked for ultimately led to her greatest triumphs. Deandra Dottin's story reminds us that true power comes not from accepting what you're given, but from knowing your worth and having the courage to demand it, even if it means risking everything you've built. That's the real lesson of the world, boss. Sometimes you have to be willing to lose everything to gain what you truly deserve.